crisp air, crunchy leaves, and way too many knitting plans. I have sweaters, socks, hats, shawls, going from colorwork to cables to lace to stockinette. So let's jump into what I've got lined up for fall. Hi there, my name is Luisa, but everybody calls me Lu, and welcome back. Fall is here, which means cozy knitting season is officially on, and I've gathered some patterns and ideas that I'm really excited about, and I can't wait to chat through them all with you today. And since there are too many patterns and not enough time, I've also included a few patterns that have me feeling really inspired for the season ahead. So without further ado, let me put my water down and let's jump right in. The first pattern, or I should say project, that I want to finish this season is my sweet shop blanket. This pattern has been on timeout for the last few months, or I should say the entire summer season, and I really want to finish this fall. I am about halfway through and I am aiming for a twin size blanket, so I still have a lot to go through, but I am confident that I can finish this season. I am using 17 different colorways that I really want to get out of my stash. I have this entire basket full of yarn for my sweet shop blanket and also two more that don't even fit into my basket. So I really want to get this out of my stash and have a finished sweet shop blanket. But now let's talk about the cast-ons. The first pattern that I want to cast on is a sweater, and I am talking about the Violeta pullover by Claudia Quintanilla. This pattern features different cable and lace motifs. I love mixing cable and lace in the same project, and it can either be knitted from the bottom up or top down, which is quite interesting and something I've never seen before. So I am really curious to see how this pattern works. This pattern also includes a few neckline options, so you can either knit a folded single or a collar. It will be actually my first time knitting any pattern from this designer. Now, talking about colors, I already have a color in mind, but I have a few yarn options here in front of me, but I still haven't made up my mind. I love cables in dark colors, but I don't know, maybe you can share with me your opinions. So I have two different Fiucolana Arveta colorways that I think would be good for this project. The recommended yarn for this project, by the way, is one strand of knitting for olive merino plus one strand of knitting for olive soft silk mohair. So I have two different Fiucolana Arveta colorways here with me that I think would be maybe good for this project. But I also have this dark pink colorway. This is Lana Grossa Uni Mylan White that I think maybe would be good. These are all, Fiucolana Arveta is a sock yarn, and this Mylan White is also sock yarn. And I also have a few balls of Drops Flora in the colorway 07. I think this is a beige. So I don't know which one I want to go for a Violeta pullover, but I think I'm leaning towards this lilac colorway, maybe. This is not the name, by the way, of the colorway. The colorway is 236, and I think I'm going to go with this, but I don't know. I have a few different options to choose from, and we'll see where I will land on. Now, the second sweater that I don't think I will be casting on, this is just an honorable mention that I'm going to put out there, is actually something really similar to the Violeta pullover, but at the same time it has a few different details that I really love, and this is the Low Tide by Rachel Ilsley. I am probably pronouncing it wrong, so sorry for that, but this pattern also features cable and lace, and it has a really interesting construction. It is knitted top down, but I have to read the description because it is quite interesting, so let me open it up. Here it is. This garment is worked top down, mainly in the round. After the neckband, right and left saddle shoulders are worked flat. Stitches are picked up along each side of the saddle shoulder piece to form the front and back of the garment. Short row shaping is worked where each saddle shoulder joins the neckband to create a sloped shoulder and to maintain the curve of the neckband. There's also a video tutorial available, and this garment is worked in the round with increases to shape the sleeves front and back, Once the armhole depth is reached, sleeve stitches are put on hold, length is added to the back if needed, then front and back are joined to form the body, and then you work the body in the round from the top down. So this is quite an interesting construction in my opinion, and I'm really curious to see how this pattern works, but I think I am set on knitting the Violetta pullover for now, but this is definitely a pattern that I will be casting on in the near future. The size range is also really good, going from 84 to 171 meters. No, that would be really big. Going from 84 to 171 centimeters with a 7.5 centimeter of positive ease. I love the cable details on the neck band here, and also the cuffs and the hem. It's such a interesting and at the same time very subtle detail, which I love, and that the designer says the patterns have reached gauge and have knitted successfully using heavy fingering weight yarn, sport weight, or even DK weight yarns, or just a regular fingering plus a mohair. So in my opinion, this is such a good pattern to work on. And the third pattern that I will be talking about today is the Elena pullover, also by Claudia Quintanilla. This pattern features a full lace yoke, which is gorgeous. It has such a delicate and feminine touch to the pattern, and I love it. The pattern photos featured two different samples, one all in white and a second sample, which is really what caught my eye for this pattern, in two different colors. So she used one color for the entire lace yoke and the second color for the rest of the project, the rest of the sweater. And I love mixing two different colors, but at the same time having such a detailed yoke. The lace pattern is gorgeous. The white sample really makes the lace pattern shine, and I really love it. I don't think I will be casting this on this season because I have just finished what I'm wearing today. Actually, this is the Pierre sweater by Joanna Garish, and this is a full lace project, a full lace sweater, and I already have my eyes set on the Violetta pullover, which also features a little bit of lace, so I think it would be too much lace at the same time. I have plans on casting this on in the near future, but I don't think I will be doing this season. But anyway, the white sample is also really gorgeous, and I love the two color sample. I think this one is, I actually want to replicate the sample, the two color sample. I really love the two colors she used, and this pattern is also knitted in two strands of mohair throughout, so there's no merino, there's no wool, it's just two strands of mohair held together, and yeah, it is gorgeous. But now let's jump to one pattern that I will certainly cast on this season, and I am talking about the sweater number 15 by My Favorite Things. I already have the yarn mustache for a while now. I've been wanting to cast on a full cable sweater for years, ever since I first started knitting actually, just the same cable motif throughout the pattern. So I have my eyes on the sweater number 15. This is a top-down construction with dropped shoulders and pretty roomy sleeves. I love the shoulder detail with that little cable, with a single cable going diagonally down the shoulders, and also a little bit of twisted rib on the cuffs, hem, and all of that. I love a good twisted rib. This pattern is knitted at a fingering. No, this pattern is knitted at a sport weight gauge, and the yarn I have in mind here is, well, the suggested yarn is one strand of fingering plus one strand of mohair. I already have the yarn for this project, or at least is what I plan on using for this project. I don't know if things will change or not, but at least right now, this is my idea. My main yarn is going to be Rosa Pomar Mondin in the colorway C582. This is a rust color. I've never knitted with any of Rosa Pomar yarns, and I'm really excited to try this out. This is 100% Portuguese wool, and my plan is to pair this with one strand of Isaiah Alpaca 1. This is 100% lace weight alpaca. Also in a rust color. This is colorway 33, and this is my idea for the sweater number 15. I am slightly concerned about the different shades that I have. I don't know if I will have a moral defect throughout the project. I think maybe it would be too much, a moral defect plus the all over cable project, but I will have to knit a swatch and see if I really like this combo, but this is my idea for now. I've never knitted with any of these two yarns, so I'm really excited to try them out. But now, another project that I'm really excited to cast on is actually a wrap. I'm always seeing gorgeous wrap patterns and projects on Instagram, and well, I want to have my own. But at the same time, I am slightly worried about the fit of a wrap. I don't want to bring too much attention to my bust area, so that's why I've never cast on a wrap. But I think this is the season that I'm finally going to do it. Well, I know I will do it because I've already bought the yarn for this project. I'm just waiting for it to be delivered. But my first idea was to cast on the Levitate wrap, also by my favorite things. This is an oversized fit, but at the same time a bit short and with a boxy fit. It has double knit edges, but I'm not really sold on the gauge. It is a Aran weight gauge, and I think it would be too heavy. I really love the photos and the entire vibe, I would say, of the photo shoot, but I'm not really sold on the gauge, and I have on a Aran weight gauge. So I've already seen on other wrap patterns, and there are two patterns by Florence Miller. The first one is the Robinson wrap cardigan. This has a more fitted look with I-cord ties and a really tall ribbing section at the bottom, but I don't know about the fit. I think it would be hard not to bring too much attention to my bust with a really fitted wrap. I'm not sure about that. And I've also seen another wrap pattern of hers. This is the My Ball wrap. It has a much more relaxed fit with short row shaping for the sleeves, a neck edge and ties worked in I-cord. A neck edge and tie worked in double knitting. So I think this is closer to what I have in mind, but it also keeps the really tall ribbing section. I don't know, this is a good contestant. But my third option was the Clint wrap by Morissette. See, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, so sorry for that, but it has a much more feminine look in my opinion. It features I-cord edges and the tie that goes around the back, but it also is written for an Aran weight gauge, so yeah, I'm not really sure on the gauge. I think I want something lighter, like a fingering weight plus mohair or something like that. So just a couple of years ago, I came across the Late Summer wrap by Knitting for Olive, and I think this is the one that I'm going to be casting on. I've been eyeing a wrap for a really long time. And I think this one fits the bill perfectly. So this is a top-down construction with saddle shoulders, which I really like, but it also features a double knitted tie that you can either tie at the front or at the back, and I think this detail is what really sold me on this pattern, that plus the saddle shoulders. But it has a more fitted look, yes, but I think I can go up a few sizes and end with a more relaxed fit. This is my idea. This pattern is written for a 0 to 8 centimeters of negative ease, but I think I will keep my my wrap around 5 centimeters of positive ease, or just 0 ease. This is my idea, but definitely no negative ease. And this pattern also features a little opening in one side for one of the ties, and I love this detail. So I think I will be casting on this pattern this season. And like I said, I already bought the yarn for this, and I went with a Knitting for Olive combo of mohair and merino. I've been seeing a lot of posts on Instagram from Knitting for Olive where they share different samples of their yarns paired together. So one strand of merino and one strand of their soft silk mohair. And I think I want to replicate one of their samples. So I went with a dark red as my main yarn for the merino yarn, and I chose a lighter pink. I think it's a lighter pink for my mohair colorway, and I'm really excited to try this combo. I've never knitted with a knitting for olive combo, so I'm also excited to try that out. But I'm also really excited to see what happens mixing these two different colorways. So we'll see, but I'm really excited to cast this on. And I will cast this on as soon as my yarn arrives. So now let's go to another, not really a sweater. This is actually a tee, I think. This is the Jupiter Crop by Caitlin Hunter. I won't cast this on this season. I'm not skilled enough to knit an entire colorwork project, but this is a crop. It's all over colorwork. The pattern is knitted in, the sample actually, is knitted in 5 different colors, but she says this is a 2-color colorwork, but there are a few rounds where you carry 3 colors, and yeah, I'm not really that confident that I can make this one work, but it's so gorgeous. A few people knitted long sleeves, so they modified the pattern to have long sleeves, and there are so many good project ideas on Ravelry. I've already checked them out and they're really pretty, but the recommended yarn for this pattern is also a Rosa Pomar yarn, but this one is Vovó, and this is a sport weight 100% wool yarn, and I'm really excited to try this out. So when I feel like I'm skilled enough to knit an entire colorwork project, I really want to try out this recommended yarn, but we'll see when that will happen. But this is such a gorgeous pattern that I couldn't leave it out of the list. I love the sample colors, and I think this would look really good in a long sleeve, but I also love the short sleeves. So yeah, there's that. Now, there's another colorwork project that I have been catching my eye for quite a while now, but I'm also not really sold on knitting it now because of the colorwork section. I'm talking about the Jewel Sweater by Eleanor Mortensen. Let's go with Mortensen. This is a top-down construction with a large colorwork section motif on the yoke. The pattern says this is a 2-color colorwork, but looking at the pattern photos, I think there are a few rows carrying 3 colors, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't have the pattern in front of me. I don't know. I could be wrong. But this pattern is also knitted for a fingering weight gauge and no mohair. And I love the colorwork motif. It is so gorgeous. I love the dark blue she used for the main section of the colorwork. And since this is a fall themed video, I couldn't not mention the sheep sweater, also by Rosa Pomar. I think this is a really Rosa Pomar heavy video. But this is a all over colorwork with sheep motifs. This is so cute. It looks so fun and cozy. But at the same time, it is all over colorwork, so not for me at the moment. But we'll see in the near future if that will change. I hope it will. But this is knitted bottom up in the round, so you knit colorwork in the round, which is always good. But you have a little bit of sticking to do to, create space for your arms. But I am definitely not skilled enough to stick anything right now, but we'll see. The recommended yarn is Pegulhau, which is a light fingering weight, 100% wool. Also by Rosa Pomar, but this is a pattern by Rosa Pomar, so what would you expect? And there's also another sheep sweater that has just been released, a couple of weeks ago or something like that. I am talking about the Oval Sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and it is so cute. It looks so fun with this little cute sheep motif throughout. And there's also the Ovis hat, in case you want something, fun, but at the same time a little smaller, like a gift knit or something. This will look so cute on kids, but just leaving it out there. Anyway, this is a top-down construction. You first knit the back and then you cast on stitch, pick up stitches to knit the fronts, joining the round. So there's a little bit of color work worked flat. So if I'm not prepared to knit an entire Colorwork sweater, I'm even less prepared to knit it flat. But I don't know if it's too tricky or not. It looks fun. It's something I would be willing to try. I really like this pattern. So this requires a little bit of flat color work, like I said. But yeah, just letting you know. And the sample looks so cozy in white and rust colors. It looks so autumnal. And I really love the pattern photos. The suggested yarn for this pattern is a DK weight yarn and no mohair. So it's also something really interesting to try. And now, let's go with one sweater that I know I will be casting on this season. And this is the Olga sweater by Petite Knit. I already have the yarn and stash for this project. And the reason I'm going to cast this on now is because I think this will be my Christmas cast on. I always need a sweater for Christmas for myself every year. And I think this is going to be my Christmas project in 2025. So I just want to cast this on now to have enough time for things to go wrong or terribly wrong. And I still have time left to finish this sweater in time for Christmas. So this is a top-down construction in stockinette with stripes. I love stripes. I also love this shoulder detail with the darker stripe. And she also keeps the stripe pattern throughout the ribbing section. So I really like that. And this pattern is written for a DK weight gauge. My idea is to use this yarn here. I am going to use two different shades of red. I'm not going to lie, I am copying another person's project on Ravelry. I was looking for yarn ideas for this project, so I was browsing through Ravelry, and I've seen 2 or 3 people knitting with this yarn. And they used these 2 colorways and it looks so cute. It's so Christmas heavy, but well, my favorite color is red and I don't own anything in red. Least of all hand knitted. So yeah, this is what I'm doing this season. This is Rowan Norwegian wool. And the wine color is color 23. And the really bright red is colorway 18. So yeah, this will be my Olga sweater and I am really excited to cast this on. Now, enough of sweaters. I've talked about many sweaters now. So let's go with a pair of socks because I am a recently converted sock knitter. I am talking about the Coral Reef socks by Lisa Hannes. This is a traveling rib motif. It looks like cables, but it isn't. You achieve this gorgeous detail by working increases and decreases. This is knitted from the cuff down. And there's an entire coral reef collection. There's a wrap, a scarf, a hat, a shawl. So it's so cute to have it all matching. I don't know if I'm ready for this because, like I said, I've just started knitting socks. But this still looks so cute, and if I do end up casting this on, I already have the yarn in my stash for this project, but I forgot to grab it, so I'll be right back. I'm back. The yarn was at my pegboard behind me, so yeah, it took me a few minutes to realize that. But if I cast this on, this is the yarn I have in mind. This is Regia Premium Merino Yak. In the colorway, which colorway is this? This is colorway 7508. It is a purpley pink color, really lovely. And yeah, if I cast this on, this would be my yarn. But I'm also thinking about, instead of casting on the Coral Reef socks, maybe I should cast on something more simple to really make sure that I have a good fit. And I really know what I'm doing with sock knitting. So I'm thinking about using the same yarn that I've used for my first pair of socks and just knit a stripe, some sort of stripe with contrasting heel and toes. So if I do, this would be my idea. Orange and pink in stripes and a contrasting heel and toe with this green yarn, this lime green. I think it will look really cute, but I don't know, I still haven't decided. But this would be my pair of socks of the season. Now let's jump to accessories, and there's a shawl that I really want to cast on. I mean, I know I will cast this on this season, and this is the double knit scarf by Hello Hugo Life. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or not, wrong. Probably I'm pronouncing it wrong, but anyway, it looks like such a relaxing project, but at the same time with a more elevated look. And I think if I had this in my wardrobe, it would be the first thing I would reach for every time I wanted to wear a shawl. But this is what I have in mind. This is all over double knitting with little slits on one side. It looks so fun, but really simple at the same time, but really practical to wear. So this is what I have in mind, but I'm not sold on the double knitting side of it. I think I would just knit a stockinette tube. It would give the same look of the double knitting, but I don't know if the double knitting would provide a more structured shawl. I don't know. It's just an idea that I have in mind. The suggested yarn is Cardiff Cashmere Classic, but my idea for this project is to hold one strand of wool and one strand of mohair. And I already have the yarn in my stash, or I guess I would say half of the yarn in my stash, because I already have the wool that I want to use. And this is Lang Yarn's Yavol Superwash. This is a sock yarn. It's basically the same thing as Filcolana Arveta, but I have 2 skeins of this in my stash, and I think it would look cute for a shawl. I have plans of using a leftover from my clematis sweater that I've knitted a couple of months ago. I have a little bit leftover of the yarn I've used for that project, and I think it would look cute as a hat. So if I knit is a stockinette hat, so if I knit this this Lang Yarn Yavol into a shawl, I think it would pair really nicely with that yarn once I have it as a hat. But I plan on holding this yarn together with one strand of mohair, and I still have to find a good color matching mohair for this yarn. So I still have to purchase that, but this is what I have in mind, at least for now. I don't know if I will find a mohair match or not, but this is what I have in mind. And just a little disclaimer regarding this pattern. Let me open up the pattern description because I want to read it for you guys. So this pattern was created by a self-taught knitting enthusiast who designed an original sweater as a hobby. While I have put my heart and soul into making it, there may be some imperfections. I would appreciate your understanding, and I kindly ask that only those who can accept this purchase the pattern. Please note that it has not been professionally proofread, and this only makes me even more excited to purchase this pattern and knit up this shawl. I just really want to support her, and at the same time I would end up with a really cute shawl that I am certain that I would wear through the entire winter. But this is the only shawl that I have in mind, at least for now. And now let's go to hats, because there are quite a few cute hats in my mind. And the first one is the Twisted Affair, A Twisted Affair by Jorge Locatelli. I've never knitted any of her patterns, but I have so many of Jorge Locatelli's patterns in my Reverie favorites. But yeah, I really want to cast on one of her patterns. And this is a very cute and free, by the way, hat pattern. It is knitted from the bottom up with ribbed brim and cables all over the body of the hat. It is knitted at a bulky weight gauge, and it just looks so cute. It is bulky weight yarn, so I think this would knit up pretty quickly. So maybe it's a really good gift knit idea. I don't know. This is an idea that I have, and this pattern really caught my eye over the last few weeks. And there is a second hat pattern, but this one is Colorwork, and I'm talking about the Sacred Sheep hat, also by Caitlin Hunter. I love this pattern. I love the orange brim that she used, and this is also knitted from the bottom up, but this pattern offers so many options. First of all, you have different gauge options. This pattern works for a fingering DK or worsted weight yarn. And now talking about the brim, you can either knit a short brim, a single folded or double folded brim, and the pattern also offers 3 different crown height options and also works from a toddler to adult to large. So what else could we want? The color work is so cute, and I really love the contrasting brim with a black and white color combo for the colorwork section and a really bright color for the brim. Now another pattern that is really similar to the Sacred Sheep hat, but at the same time it has a few extra details, is the Montagnac Redux, also by Rosa Pomar. I've already said this is a Rosa Pomar heavy video and this is just a coincidence, by the way, but this is another version for a heavier weight hat that she designed previously. But this project that I'm talking about, this pattern, is written for fingering weight yarn, and this worked from the bottom up with a colorwork motif, and this pattern has such a cool detail. The motif is horizontally symmetric, but the colors are inverted on each half of the colorwork chart. And I really like the look of this hat, but at the same time I think it will look even cuter mixing it up, the Sacred Sheep hat pattern with this Montagnac Redux, like the colorwork section of the Montagnac Redux with the symmetrical look of it, but with inverted colors, and adding the wide brim, folded over brim of the Sacred Sheep hat in a contrasting color. Oh, I think it will look so cute. Maybe I'll get into that. This is a small enough project that I think I would dip my toes into colorwork. This will look so cute. And those are the patterns inspiring me this fall. Some I will be casting on, and some are just honorable mentions that I had to share with you today. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you back here next week with another podcast episode. Don't forget to subscribe in case you don't want to miss it. And until then, stay cozy and enjoy your knitting. Bye!